Here's what people don't know about my story. It's not that before I was restricted from knees over toes, reached age 20, couldn't dunk, partially artificial kneecap, meniscus transplant, quad tendon repair, and that now in my 20s I've been able to transform my knees, be able to dunk with ease, do it for years without any relapse, doing this crazy stuff every day. Those two parts, most people are aware of that. Most people are not aware of what's in between, and what's in between is why I had to be knees over toes guy. So that's a ridiculous name, knees over toes guy. Even my wife thinks it's silly, but she gets it because she was with me actually back when I was 19, like not even with any hope. So here's what occurred. Here I am, Clearwater, Florida. It's a small town as it is, no special connections to get recruited to college for basketball, but since age 5, wanting to be a pro basketball player, my life being and requiring me to be successful at basketball. So it was knees over toes training that I used in that age 20 to get myself a college scholarship. I didn't even have recruitment beforehand in high school. So it wasn't just making me able to play, it was also giving me the athleticism to keep up with players at that level. So I used knees over toes to get myself a college scholarship. I could dunk. I'm thinking life is good from here, right? I'm going to make it. I'm going to go. I'm going to get a D1 scholarship. First year in the weight room, the coach is running the weight room. Won't let me do knees over toes. And I'm in over my head with college and classes and trying to get good grades and all this stuff on the team and being a freshman and trying to fit in and all that stuff. And I watched myself go back downward a year. I had only had about a year of knees over toes training, then a whole year of no knees over toes training. Fortunately, that year was enough that it got me through that entire next season, but I could feel myself declining. I could feel my athleticism slipping away. So the next year as a sophomore, I go into the head coach's office, who, thank goodness, turns out to be a really forward-thinking guy who's now one of my best friends. And you know what? He lets me do my knees over toes workouts. Now he tells me, I might lose respect for my teammates, you know what I mean, and coaches and whatnot, but I still wound up being a team captain that year because it worked for me. I got more athletic. I played harder. I did what I had to for my team to win. And so by the end of that year, I got a full ride D1 scholarship. So by this point, I'm 23 years old, and I get a D1 scholarship, which I've never heard of that happening, and it probably has, but we're talking, this is almost never happens, probably, one in a million shot or something like that, of having no recruitment in high school at any level. Then going through knee surgeries, more torn ligaments on this side. It's one of the best things that happened to me actually was the 3 alterations on this side, making it a stiff, messy mass. And then this side being loose from more torn ligaments that I would have been having surgeries on. But by that point, I was just like, no, I'm going to try to fix naturally, right? So I go through all that. Now I'm going D1. I'm going to be there's only a freshman incoming point guard. The school has a really good shot at a D1, at going to March Madness. Like, this is the stuff I've dreamed about. And I was using knees over toes training in season that sophomore year, that second year of college, in season to fix my knee pain, be getting more athletic in season. I was playing my best basketball of the season, 14 points, 8 assists the last game. And I'm so ready. And I'm playing against arguably better competition than I was even going to play, because I was going to be going to a small but like prestigious $67,000 a year scholarship and extra money in my pocket. We were going to be playing this summer in Italy, playing our first game of the year in one of the biggest arenas in America, biggest NBA arenas. So I can't believe it. I finally made it there, right? I get there, and the strength coach is 100% clear that I am not going to be doing my own stuff. Literally, the stuff that got me out of this little town to a JUCO, to a D1 scholarship at a prestigious university where everyone else going to these places had the magical life and got recruited and all this stuff and went to homecoming. And I finished high school on a fucking wheelchair, okay? So now I'm going to be told I can't do knees over toes training. So as it gets closer, we find out the NCAA is denying my eligibility because I'm old. I'm old as shit. I'm 5 years out of high school, right? No one knew. It's just so it doesn't happen that someone that old gets a D1 scholarship. So We had all the medical records to show like I wasn't even playing. It's not like I was getting more chances to play. I was literally, just trying to walk. And so the head coach, is sure that, just get a lawyer. And my parents are willing to do it and fight for my dream. But I already knew why it was happening. Because usually that wouldn't even happen to someone who had medical cases and stuff like that. And they just happened to be like cracking down on it or whatever. And yeah, we probably could have gotten a lawyer and proven it. But I already went through all that to then not be able to do knees over toes training my first year, revive myself my second year. Just imagine how good I would have been had I been able to keep doing my knees over toes training rather than taking that step back. And then imagine how good I would have been at the D1 level, also able to do my training. So I knew right then there, I've always had a good bullshit detector. And it's bullshit to think that your personal life is that key to your happiness. Yeah, you have to be set. You have to be set so you can provide for others and stuff like that. But the idea that you're going to be blissfully happy only because of yourself, no, there's no way I'm believing that's true. So I knew this has happened to me. This has happened to so many people. It's happened to so many people. And so I remember getting off the phone with the head coach, right? And rather than even entertaining the idea of a lawyer, I just knew. And I actually, internally, I smiled because I just knew I have to fix this. I have to fix this. I have to educate people on knees over toes. So yeah, that's the reason for the ridiculous Knees Over Toes Guy name. But now I get people who don't know me, on social media telling me how lucky I am and, oh, you're lucky, blah, 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 lucky, 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 lucky. Lucky? Find me a high school story that unlucky for someone who worked that hard to then wind up with that happening. So that could have just been a story of unluckiness, and I could have gone on with my life and been sobbing about my story of unluckiness. And even now I look at myself and I think, God, I'm so lucky, but I forget about where I came from, and it just wasn't that simple. It wasn't like just blah, 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 I'm going to be knees over toes. No, it was the in-between, to see that at the highest levels of academia, the highest levels, they're actually clueless on how to prevent and how to handle things naturally. So it's almost like they got better at how to do surgeries and drugs and these kind of unnatural things, and worse at common sense and how to do things naturally. So now I'm just playing my part in the system. I estimate I've saved people tens of millions of dollars at least, just in painkillers and surgeries, without even trying, right? So I was never even given a chance before that kind of stuff. And now anything I went through, that was easy. I went through worse stuff with this knee that I healed naturally. The worst knee injuries I had were to this knee that I healed naturally. And I went my whole life as the slow guy, slowest guy on the team, who was made fun of for unathleticism. So if you ever had a thought in your mind, if you're ever thinking to yourself, man, I could be more bulletproof, I could be more athletic, I could have more longevity than I'm being told, things like that, you were right.